Man, it's been a minute since we heard the song. We didn't have her on last week. We do have her on this week. Alyssa Orange with us on halftime today. Alyssa, great to hear your voice. How you doing?
I'm doing good, guys. I missed you. I've missed you.
Missed you, too. I saw you on Coaches in the Mouth podcast, so you haven't been hiding under a rock or anything, but I know you'd announced it, I think it was a little less than 2 weeks ago after your last appearance with us.
Yeah.
I usually introduce her as Pig Trail Nation's Alyssa Orange. I won't be doing that anymore. So tell me what's been going on. First off, I was able to go on that podcast and just share some of the things that I've experienced over the last almost 12 years covering the Razorbacks, which is crazy to think about. When I moved here in 2013, I signed a 3-year contract. I thought I'd get back to the East Coast eventually. Those were my goals. And I obviously met Sawyer here in the radio side of things, and we got married. We had 2 kids, and this became home for me. And 12 years later, I've had some big life changes recently. And because of some of the things of those life changes, I just need to start to kind of reprioritize some things and spend some time with my kids. They deserve their mom back for a little bit. But hopefully I'm not disappearing forever because I still have a passion for storytelling and I still love being here. So I'm not going anywhere. I don't know exactly what's next, but, as long as someone will keep me around and let me talk about the Razorbacks, I will still be okay to do so. Okay, so I know I'd seen you at a baseball game recently, and you'll be watching tomorrow's basketball game and everything, I'm sure. Do you watch the game differently now that you're not necessarily covering it as intensely?
Sure.
You're talking about these teams, and I'm sure you may be doing that, somewhere else, but it's not as intense. So do you watch the game differently?
Yeah, I think so. And I laughed because even a few weeks ago when they played Texas on that Wednesday, I just was like, I can go to bed now. I'm tired. I don't have to watch how this game plays out. And I was in Vegas over the weekend celebrating my dad's 60th birthday and caught glimpses of the game against Mississippi State. But I don't feel like I have to find a way to sit down and watch things. Now, I just love baseball, and you know that. So you'll find me at the baseball field and at the softball field, either with some friends or with my kids as much as I can because I just love the game. And that's the biggest thing is that I don't want to disappear. I still am going to be around. Things are going to be different. But yeah, I think you look at it at a different lens. I don't think that you have to feel the pressure to be at everything and listen to everything and be in the know. And so not doing that for 2 weeks has kind of been refreshing. But I would be lying if I said I didn't miss it completely. But I'm really excited to just take some time. So I've been doing this TV thing. It's all I've ever known for 16 years. And so it's time to take a step back and figure out what it is that I want to do next. And first and foremost, be a really good mom to my kids. So I say all that to say, keep watching Pig Trail. I spent a really, I put a lot of heart and effort and soul into that product, as did Jason Carroll before me, as did Bo Mattingly before him, and whoever takes over next, I hope will continue on with that.
Man, and I've been there before. It was 10 years ago. I left something that was comfortable for me at the Travelers that I'd worked for 14 years, and back then the only thing I knew was minor league baseball and really did take a chance. It was fear and excitement all at the same time. So it's kind of all bringing it back to me right here, just thinking about this, Alyssa. And I know whatever it is, you're going to end up doing something creative.
I got all the emotions, don't worry. And we're working through those piece by piece from a professional side and from a personal side. But I got to go work on the personal side a little bit.
Mm-hmm. So that means you get to watch basketball tomorrow, at home,
yes.
Feet up, and
or at a bar.
Yeah, you can go wherever it is you want to go. That's exactly right. And you can stream to the television.
That's right. Yeah. Yes, I can. It'll be fun. If they win tomorrow, then I've got plans to watch it with some friends on Thursday, and
yeah, the environment has definitely shifted. I can enjoy watching the game, and I can drink a beer because I'm not going to work later to talk about it. And, yeah, I see it through a little bit of a different lens now. I always said, and again, I haven't closed any doors by any means, but I've always said that if and when I get out of what I was doing, I've spent enough time here to where, you know, I will always root for Arkansas to have success. I was never not going to root for that.
So we were talking in the last segment about, you know, potential expansion of the NCAA tournament. You look at how the college football playoff expands. Major League Baseball playoffs expanded recently. And what this does is it allows coaches extra opportunities to get past disappointments. You know, if the college football playoff was still at 4 teams this last season, Ohio State's probably looking for a new coach. And I was just thinking about Dave Roberts signing an extension with the Dodgers yesterday. You know, they didn't win that World Series last year. Yeah. He might have been looking for a new job, which is crazy to think of him doing that as good as they've been. But, you know, when you expand playoffs, it does kind of open the opportunity for teams that you wouldn't expect were in those postseasons to actually do something special.
Yeah, and that's, I think, the view that people are looking at it as. I think my biggest hesitation with expanding the NCAA tournament is who are you expanding it for, right? Like, are you expanding it for leagues like the SEC in the situation they're at right now where they could get 14 or 15 teams in, or are you expanding it for these mid-major teams? For example, a team who goes undefeated during the regular season but loses their conference tournament, and then they don't get that automatic bid. Are you giving it to them because they went undefeated in conference play but lost the tournament, and so they didn't get that automatic bid? Or are you expanding it for these other teams? And that's the big topic of conversation, is who exactly are you expanding it for? Because at that point, does it all even out? You know, feel like you're saying it gives more teams opportunities. But, like, how do you define what teams should get in and what teams shouldn't, just based on the conference that they're in and, you know, the teams that they're playing and the strength of schedule and all the things that factor into who they pick and who they don't pick in the NCAA tournament. I go back to a few years ago when Texas A&M made that run at the end of the year, went all the way to the conference tournament championship and lost, and then did not make the NCAA tournament. And they ended up going to the NIT. Would the expansion put a team that's hot and winning down the stretch like Texas A&M did that season, allow them to get a bid that they weren't able to get because they didn't win the conference championship in that automatic bid? So that's the big question, is who exactly are you opening it up to?
Well, in terms of Arkansas, doesn't it look like a team that, like, I think, and I've said this to a couple of guests earlier today, they can make more of a run in March Madness than they can in the SEC tournament. It's just not set up for a team with 7 players that has to play a team that's got a bye or a double bye after each of the next 2 games. If you win, I think they'll win today, but then you're facing a team in Ole Miss that's more rested. And then if you do that, then you're facing a team in Auburn that's played no minutes all week and you've just played 80 minutes. But you don't have to worry about that in the NCAA tournament. And, you know, the other aspect, too, is super performances is a lot of times what gets you past whatever round you're playing in the NCAA tournament. And, you know, you've had guys like this Arkansas team right now, Brazil, Adu, DJ Wagner, the freshman, Z. All of them have had what I think you could classify as super performances, not consistently, but here and there. And it's like if you get 2 or 3 of these guys that have that kind of game, do you think they can beat anybody?
Ooh, I don't know if they could beat anybody, but I think they could go on a run for sure. And that's, you know, it's funny, the last time we did talk, we were talking about, oh my gosh, just like how much of us want to root for Trevin Brazile, and then we've seen what we've seen from him the last couple of games since we last were on the show together. It's been really fun to watch from a personal standpoint, and I think that goes a long way in showing that there are some guys who, even if we counted them out, have stepped up and risen to the occasion with Adu Thiero out and Boogie Fland out. And this team can definitely beat people when they're clicking like they are and when guys are playing the way that Trevin is playing and Jonas Adu and Zvonimir Visic. When these guys are playing well, that's been obviously helpful and they can win. I don't know if they're going to win a national championship, but you win at Wednesday, you win on Thursday, or even if you win Wednesday and lose Thursday, you're in the NCAA tournament. And that's where you can do some damage because we've seen it. It's not like, this Arkansas team is going to defy the odds. Well, we see this all the time in the NCAA tournament. A team just gets hot. A team just starts to rally around each other. And next thing you know, they're in a Sweet 16 game and getting out of the first weekend.
That would be absolutely crazy if this team was to make the second weekend.
That'd be wild.
Well, yeah, do you think, do you think Boogie Fland or 3 comes back and gives you any minutes? Have you heard anything about those two kids?
No, I don't know. And here's the deal. I think if they make the NCAA tournament, and let's say, Matt, hypothetically, that they do get out of that first weekend somehow, that's when you could have those conversations with Boogie Fland and his health with his hand and Adu Thiero and say, can you contribute? But then on the flip side of that, right, as much as you would love those guys back, it gives you depth. They're talented. You're not going to tell a talented player, no, you can't play. But on the other side of that coin, there's always that conversation of, well, this team is clicking right now. Don't mess with it. Don't mess with it right now, right? Like, would that affect things and the way that they're playing right now if you add those guys back? That's always a conversation people are going to have. And so do they come back? You don't tell guys like that no, but it would be interesting to see if they did, how the dynamic of this team would look like.
BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting in 2025. Whether you're a seasoned fan or a first-time bettor, BetOnline is your ultimate game day companion. With the largest selection of odds on everything from NBA and college basketball to the NHL and UFC, BetOnline continues to be your number one sports betting source. From every three-pointer to hat trick, BetOnline has you covered with odds, stats, and more for every game, every play, and every win. BetOnline, the game starts here.